Episode 9 is often described as a film that will have many shocking and surprising moments in this movie by writer and director J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio. This is Mike Zero. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, when we look at Episode 9, we do know that J.J. Abrams is really going to go out with a bang with this movie in order to satisfy a majority of the Star Wars fans around the world, coming out of The Last Jedi and the backlash that went along with it. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film when it comes to some of the set leaks, the set designs, the concept art, and storyboard descriptions, etc. One of which has all to do with the characters of Luke Skywalker and Supreme Leader Snoke. Specifically, a description of Luke Skywalker on his knees, with both fists into the ground with his head down, appearing to be very depressed. The next goes over where it's described Luke hears a voice reaching out to him and begins to see a figure ahead, sitting on a throne. It's described to be Snoke sitting on his throne in his throne room, with an ignited lightsaber laughing at Luke after Ben Solo escaped the Jedi Temple. It's implied to be a Force bond sequence between both Luke and Snoke, where Luke eventually ignites his green lightsaber in anger and attempts to attack Snoke by swinging his lightsaber twice, where it's revealed that Luke went right through the image of Snoke. It's said to be a lecture by Snoke to Luke about Ben Solo as the finest sculpture between both the light and the dark. It's described to be a very emotional confrontation scene between the two and serves as a continuation of the temple destruction scene in The Last Jedi. Now, what's really intriguing about all of this is that this would really lay the ground of showing us a scene between both Snoke and Luke, something that we never got to see in the sequel trilogy before. Now, we do know that J.J. Abrams wants to continue with the use of flashbacks in this movie, not just by continuing the ones that we already saw in The Force Awakens and in The Last Jedi, but also brand new ones entirely. Now, this whole entire sequence of Luke going up against Supreme Leader Snoke, igniting his green lightsaber and taking a couple of swings at him, where he actually comes to the state of knowing that he's actually not really there and is indeed a Force bond sequence. So you can really see that Snoke has actually had this power for quite some time now. He didn't use it for the very first time on both Kylo Ren and Rey. He has done this before in the past, not just with Luke Skywalker, but with others as well. And this is a clever way of pretty much Snoke mocking Luke or taunting Luke Skywalker after he was able to turn his nephew to the dark side of the Force. And like I say, you know, we've always been wondering exactly how does Luke Skywalker know Snoke and what were their interactions like before in the past. If you watch The Last Jedi, you will hear a piece of dialogue by Luke where he says, you know, I noticed it during his training. You know, Snoke had already turned his heart. You know, lines of dialogue right like that. We do know that Luke actually has met Snoke before in the past. Even in the novelization, there are a lot of hints and indicators that even at one point in time they crossed paths mentally. So at one point in time, they were connected mentally speaking. So Supreme Leader Snoke, this whole entire sequence involving the burning temple, where he's eventually revealing himself sitting on a throne with an ignited lightsaber, taunting Skywalker, pretty much, you know, provoking him to attack, in which he does so successfully. Luke Skywalker goes into a fit of rage, ignites his green lightsaber, and runs towards Snoke, taking 2 swings at him, where it is finally revealed that he's not really there and that it's a Force bond. It also kind of reminds me of what we saw in The Last Jedi, where Rey wakes up out of her sleep and she takes a fire. You know, she blasts at Kylo Ren, and Kylo Ren gets a little startled. He thinks he's hit, but he's not really hit because he's not really there. It's almost something like that in the hut scene between both Kylo and Rey, where now it's somewhat of a similar scenario between both Luke Skywalker and Supreme Leader Snoke. Now, that's the thing. We do know that J.J. Abrams is trying to do amazing things with this movie that's really going to stand out and can very well make this the best movie of this current trilogy. So when we look at the whole entire idea of Luke Skywalker in the form of flashbacks, how do you guys feel about this? I know that there are a handful of people out there that either like the idea or dislike the idea of J.J. Abrams bringing back the character of Luke alive and well in the form of flashbacks as opposed to in present time. And I know that a lot of people are having a lot of issues with Luke Skywalker so far, you know, not being alive in present time. And I totally understand that, I get that, I totally do. If you look at the sequel trilogy, even Obi-Wan Kenobi in the originals, got more screen time in form of, action goes, using the lightsaber and whatnot. But when we look at, Luke Skywalker in the sequels, I just feel like he should have lived on until, I would say, the very end of Episode 9 would have been a more proper way to end things. So let me know what you guys think about all of this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again. No.